Hey there, friends. It's John Whitaker, and I wanted to give you a short update on things happening with the listener's commentary. Before we jump into that, however, just wanted to, on the personal side, again, just say I'm just so grateful to each and every one of you who make this ministry possible by your prayers and your support. Grateful to each and every one of you who find this Bible teaching ministry valuable and helpful, and share it with friends, share it on social media, and use it for Bible study, sermon prep, personal Bible study. Just so grateful for you. So thanks a ton for just encouraging me through being a part of this family of listeners of the Listener's Commentary. And again, on a personal note, I hope you had a warm and wonderful Christmas season wherever you're at and whatever it looks like for you. On my end, we had a lot of time with our kids and our grandkids, and I just am so incredibly grateful. In fact, I was thanking the Lord this morning for the relationship that we have with our adult kids and their spouses, and for our grandkids. So just so incredibly grateful for that. Got to spend a lot of time with them over the holidays and watching the excitement and joy of our grandkids. So blessed, so special, and I'm just so grateful for that. Just hope you had a wonderful Christmas season as well. So on the commentary front, we began towards the end of last year working on the book of Genesis and started adding some Old Testament to the commentary after wrapping up the New Testament in the summer of 2025. And so we just wrapped up the book of Genesis on the commentary and spent a decent amount of time with the Old Testament. It's more narrative. I think bigger picture for our purposes is more helpful. But we did spend several months just walking through the book of Genesis, and we wrapped that up last week, and we're going to begin walking through the book of Exodus and just wrestling with, on my end, how much detail to give, what to include, what not to include, what's going to be most helpful to people just kind of reading through these Old Testament books well and wisely. And so laying out the book of Exodus, and in preparation for that, I read what I would say so far has been one of the single best commentaries I have ever read in my life. And it was on the book of Exodus by my favorite Old Testament scholar, Christopher J.H. Wright. He is a British Old Testament scholar. Really appreciate Chris Wright's work on the book of Exodus. This commentary and the Story of God Bible commentary is single-handedly probably one of the best commentaries I've ever read. It really played to Chris Wright's strengths, the format of the commentary. And, it's not every day. Most commentaries, to be honest, are pretty dry, pretty boring. A lot of them are pretty technical. A lot of times commentaries are written by scholars, to scholars, answering scholars' questions, not always as helpful as they could be for the rest of us. And yet this commentary by Chris Wright in the Story of God Bible commentary, I found myself at times just pausing in praying or worshiping, being moved. That doesn't normally happen when writing commentary. So worked through that whole thing. It's about a 600-page book. Worked through that as preparation, just really getting my mind around what I wanted to include in the book of Exodus. And so we're going to be launching the book of Exodus soon on the commentary as I kind of get things lined out and really kind of get clear on all that I want to cover on that. And so that's coming soon. Another note on the commentary that I'm super excited about, it was January of 2025 when I first started talking and actively working towards translating the entire commentary into Spanish. So I've been thinking about that for several years, since a Hispanic pastor I know here locally planted the seed almost probably in the first year or so of the commentary's existence, where he's like, man, we need something like this in Spanish. It would sure help Spanish readers of the Bible. So that planted the seed. A year ago, I began actively kind of having conversations and planning and trying to figure it out. And beginning then in the summer of 2025, we began working very intentionally and deliberately towards building out a Spanish version of the commentary. Well, the Spanish version of the listener's commentary is now live on all the major podcast apps and players. So we still have a lot of work to do as far as duplicating the iOS app, duplicating the Android app, duplicating the website, integrating the feed for the podcast version, all of that, the Spanish version of it. We still have a lot of work to do to update all the various resources we've got with the Spanish version, but the podcast itself can now be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the major places people listen to podcasts. There is a Spanish version of the listener's commentary. So if you yourself prefer listening in Spanish over English, you might search for the listener's commentary in Spanish on your podcast player. See if you can track it down there. In fact, I would love for you to listen and give me feedback on that. If you are aware of Spanish ministries, or you're a pastor who happens to have a Spanish ministry as church, feel free to spread the commentary far and wide to all your Spanish-speaking friends and Spanish ministries you are aware of, helping people find it and utilize it for their own growth in discipleship to Jesus and learning the Bible, living the Bible. So super excited about that. And as I said, more work to come. In fact, the iOS app has the Old Testament already integrated into it, but the Android app doesn't have the Old Testament, and both are going to need to integrate the Spanish. And so we got some app updates that we've got to work on. Lord willing, if you would join me in praying about that, Lord willing, that'll happen soon and fairly expeditiously. The website, a lot of work to be done integrating the Spanish on that, and I really want to work with my web developers to automate pulling in the Spanish feed so it'll be super easy to use, and so got some work to do with that. But really excited to at least be at this point where the Spanish version is live on the podcast apps, and so share that with people. Let your friends know who might find that valuable and spread the word on that. Couple other little things. One of the things I personally have been doing is my podcast host site for the commentary shows the countries around the globe that are listening to the commentary. And so I've been using that as a point of prayer, praying for various countries, for the Lord to be at work in those countries, for a revival of Bible reading and Bible study and Bible learning and Bible obedience would show up in those countries. So I've just been using that as a prayer prompt, particularly on Fridays, and praying for various countries around the world, just asking the Lord to bear good fruit, not only through the commentary, but through other ministries that are teaching the Bible in those countries, so that I think of the words of Paul in 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, where he says that the word of the Lord sounded forth from you so that everyone knew about your faith, and kind of praying along those lines that there would be a revival of the Bible and Bible study and Bible reading and Bible learning and Bible growth in these countries. So just know that if you live in one of those countries that where the commentary is being listened to, I'm praying for you, praying for your ministry, praying for fruit from your life, praying for the Lord to open up more doors for the Bible to be read, learned, and lived in the places where you live. So praying that way. A couple other little notes. We've added some of my sermons to the Listener's Commentary website at points where it's appropriate. So whatever Bible passage the sermon is on, we've put a link to the sermon there. And we'll try to keep updated on that as I travel and preach at various places and add those sermons in kind of an ongoing way. I've been writing some intros to the New Testament books for Renew, Don't have the whole New Testament done, probably about 2/3 of it done, but we're going to begin adding links to those little written intros, because what they provide is sort of the backstory in writing, and then they break the book down into its big chunks and just kind of walk through it almost paragraph by paragraph, giving a quick summary, like a big tour guide or map to the book. And so we're going to add links to those to the website soon. Going to get started on that hopefully in the next week or so, adding those sorts of things. And so just slowly adding some other resources onto the website that'll help you dig in and study the Bible and teach the Bible and learn the Bible and live the Bible for yourself and help others do the same. So a lot going on the commentary. Again, just super grateful for your involvement, your investment, your partnership with the commentary, for those of you that pray and give to the commentary. So thanks a ton. None of this, some of this expansion, some of the ways the Lord is using the commentary, none of it would be possible without your prayerful support. So thanks a ton. So grateful for you. Always grateful for the emails I get from listeners all around the country and all around the world. The encouragement to me when I hear how the Lord is bearing good fruit in your life through the ministry of the Listener's Commentary means so much to me. So thanks a ton for sharing those stories with me. May God continue to bless you. May He lead you by His word and by His Spirit. May His grace be poured out upon you, and may His name be made great, be put up in lights through your life, through your ministry, through your love for Him and love for others. So God bless you guys. I look forward to continuing to share with you the Word of God as we jump into the book of Exodus in the days ahead. Take care. I'll be talking with you again soon.